You download an app. You subscribe to a service. You buy something inside a game. The transaction feels simple. You tap. You confirm. The product appears. But beneath that simple action, something else happens. Money moves through a system, and the system takes a position in the transaction. Not necessarily because it created the product, not because it built the business, but because it controls the environment where the transaction takes place. This is the part most users never think about. The app is visible, the payment is visible, the platform is almost invisible. But the platform sits between the business and the customer. And whenever one system sits between millions of businesses and millions of customers, the economics of that position can become enormous.
The most important thing about a mobile platform is not the screen, it is the doorway. The operating system determines which applications can reach the user. The App Store determines how those applications are distributed. The payment system determines how certain transactions are processed, and the platform creates the rules connecting all three. For a developer, this creates extraordinary convenience. One system can provide access to an enormous market. Distribution becomes easier. Payments become simpler. Security can be standardized. Discovery can be centralized. But convenience creates something else: dependency. The more customers a platform can reach, the more valuable access to that platform becomes. And when access becomes essential, the owner of the doorway gains leverage.
An app store looks like a catalog. Icons, categories, rankings, search results. But economically, it is much more than a catalog. It is a marketplace. And marketplaces have a special property. They bring buyers and sellers together. The more sellers join, the more useful the marketplace becomes. The more buyers arrive, the more valuable it becomes for sellers. A feedback loop begins. More developers, more applications, more users, more demand, more developers. The platform becomes larger. And as it becomes larger, leaving becomes harder. Not necessarily because developers cannot build somewhere else, but because the customers are already here. This is where network effects become economic power. The platform does not need to create every product. It only needs to become the place where products meet customers.
And then comes the percentage. A small percentage can look insignificant when viewed through a single transaction, one purchase, one subscription, one digital product. But platforms do not process one transaction. They process enormous volumes. That changes the mathematics. A percentage multiplied across millions of transactions becomes a business model. The platform does not need to manufacture the product. It does not need to hire the developer. It does not need to create every service being sold. It provides the infrastructure through which the transaction occurs, and then it participates in the economics of the transaction. This is a powerful model because revenue can scale with the activity of everyone else. More developers, more users, more transactions, more platform revenue. The platform grows because the ecosystem grows.
But why would developers accept this system? Because the platform provides something extremely valuable: access. A developer can spend years trying to acquire customers, or the platform can place the application in front of an enormous existing audience. It can provide distribution, payment processing, security, updates, discovery, infrastructure, a complete commercial environment. That convenience has economic value, and this is where the relationship becomes more complicated. The platform is not simply extracting value, it is also creating value. The question is how much of that value should belong to the platform, and how much should remain with the businesses building on top of it. That question becomes increasingly important when the platform is difficult to replace, because the more valuable the doorway becomes, the more difficult it becomes to negotiate with the owner of the doorway.
The deeper power comes from the operating system itself. An application does not exist independently on the device. It operates inside an environment. That environment determines permissions, security rules, distribution mechanisms, payment systems, technical standards, and the conditions under which applications can reach users. The platform, therefore, controls more than a marketplace. It controls the architecture surrounding the marketplace. This creates a different form of power. A developer can create an extraordinary product, but the product still operates within someone else's system, and systems have rules. Rules can shape behavior. Rules can determine economics. Rules can decide what is allowed and what is not. The platform does not need to control every business directly. It can influence the entire ecosystem by controlling the environment in which those businesses operate. And then there is the cost of leaving. Switching platforms sounds simple in theory. Build somewhere else, sell somewhere else, find another audience. But businesses accumulate dependencies: customers, revenue, reviews, data, distribution, payment relationships, technical integrations, brand presence. Every layer creates friction. None of these dependencies has to be impossible to replace. They only need to be expensive enough to discourage movement. This is the economics of lock-in. The platform becomes stronger not only because it attracts users, but because the ecosystem accumulates reasons to stay. And once enough businesses depend on the same system, the platform becomes difficult to challenge. The network has become an asset. The dependency has become part of the moat. Now, the system begins to compound. More users attract more developers. More developers create more applications. More applications create more reasons for users to stay. More users create more transactions. More transactions create more revenue. Revenue can fund infrastructure, security, distribution, and ecosystem development, and the cycle continues. This is the platform flywheel. It is not simply growth, it is self-reinforcing growth. The system becomes more valuable because more participants enter it. And once the flywheel reaches sufficient scale, competing becomes difficult. A new platform does not simply need a better product. It needs developers. It needs users. It needs distribution. It needs payments. It needs trust. It needs an ecosystem. The incumbent does not merely have a product. It has a network.
This reveals a broader principle of digital economics. The most valuable asset is not always the product. Sometimes it is distribution. A great product without distribution can disappear. A mediocre product with enormous distribution can become dominant. Platforms sit directly inside this relationship. They connect supply to demand, developers to users, businesses to customers. And because the connection happens through the platform can become more valuable than any individual product inside it. This is why digital power can be so different from industrial power. A factory owns production. A platform can own access. And access can scale across millions of businesses without requiring the platform to produce what those businesses sell. The platform becomes infrastructure for commerce itself.
Now look at the complete system. At the bottom, billions of users. Above them, devices. Then the operating system. Then the marketplace. Then distribution. Then payments. And above the platform, millions of businesses. Each layer creates value, but the platform connects the layers. It controls access between them. That is why the App Store is economically significant. It is not merely a digital shelf. It is part of the infrastructure through which mobile commerce operates. The platform sits between the customer and the business, between demand and supply, between the application and the device, between the transaction and the payment. And when one system occupies several critical intersections, its economic position becomes difficult to ignore. And this is where the economics become larger than the commission itself. The percentage is visible, the position is not. A platform can earn revenue from transactions, but its deeper asset is the position it occupies. It sits between millions of businesses and millions of customers. It controls a distribution environment. It manages a payment layer. It establishes technical rules. It operates an ecosystem. The financial model is only one consequence of that position. The deeper value comes from being difficult to bypass. This is the architecture of platform power. You do not need to own every product. You need to own the system through which the products reach the market. And once that system becomes essential, the platform has leverage over the economics taking place inside it.
Think about what has happened. The mobile application became a product. The App Store became a marketplace. The operating system became infrastructure. Distribution became a strategic asset. Payments became part of the platform. And the platform became a gateway between businesses and customers. That is why the economics can become so powerful. A traditional toll road does not need to own every destination. It only needs to control the route between them. Digital platforms can operate on a similar principle. They do not need to build every application. They need to become the route through which applications reach users. And when the route becomes essential, the economics of the route become enormously valuable.
So what is the real business of the App Store? It is not simply selling applications. It is controlling a doorway between developers and users, between products and customers, between digital businesses and payments. The commission is only one expression of that power. The deeper asset is access. And access becomes more valuable as more economic activity depends on it. This is why digital monopolies can look different from traditional monopolies. They may not control every product. They may not manufacture anything. They may simply control the environment in which everyone else operates. Once you see the architecture, the percentage begins to look different. It is no longer just a fee. It is the price of passing through a system. And the deeper question becomes, who owns the doorway? Because in the digital economy, the company that controls access may not need to own the destination. It only needs to control the route. The visible products are on your screen. The economic power is built underneath them.
Nexera, decoding systems, architecting wealth.